My wife's male assistant leaked company secrets and was caught. To avoid being fired, he pushed me off the fourth floor, then publicly claimed I tried to kill myself out of guilt for my crimes. When I miraculously survived and prepared to expose the truth to the media, my wife secretly fed me a muting drug. You have core technical expertise and won't get fired. But he's just a senior intern. A criminal record would waste his 4 years of college and doom his career forever. They say once a teacher, a father for life. He was your apprentice. Even a 3-year-old knows the father bears responsibility for an untaught son. You deserve this blame. Hearing my wife's warped logic, I didn't rage, but instead laughed bitterly. I voluntarily destroyed the phone containing evidence and publicly admitted my mistake. My wife assumed I'd finally chosen to take the fall. Smiling, she fed me the antidote and promised to bear me a chubby baby boy afterward. Yet she forgot that I had a backup phone for work convenience, which had already recorded the audio of her and her male assistant admitting to their crimes. If I were to release the recording, public backlash would soon consume them. Not only would they face astronomical compensation claims, but they'd lose their freedom forever, living a fate worse than death. What's the point of laws if apologies could solve everything? Do you have any idea how many competitors are eyeing our Keep Low-End Profit project since the company's strategic secrets were leaked? Because of you, hundreds of employees' year-long efforts went down the drain. All this year's bonuses vanished. Jiang Jinan tore the apology letter from my hands, spittle practically spraying onto my face. He was the new assistant my wife Shun Huaishi hired, the same person who nearly got me killed. Yet as he hurled vulgar insults, colleagues who used to be friendly with me kept their heads down, fingers tapping keyboards. Recent operations were suspended with no clients to contact, and not a single message in the workgroup chat. I knew too well. Ever since Jiang Jinan pinned everything on me, I'd been completely isolated. The project team not only created a separate group chat to exclude me from work progress communications, but colleagues also deliberately ignored my presence. Such organized and premeditated actions clearly indicated someone was trying to force me out. I looked directly at Jiang Jinan, my expression calm. If you want to drive me away, just say it outright. No need for these underhanded tactics. Before he could respond, Shun Huaishi approached with a slight frown. He Lingen, as a supervisor, you keep threatening to resign like a petulant child. How can you set an example? Besides, Jinan is the apprentice you trained yourself. Would he harm you? If he hadn't pleaded for leniency on your behalf, you'd have been fired long ago. I laughed bitterly. Then I truly had mentored an excellent apprentice. One bold enough to push me off the fourth floor to silence me forever. If I hadn't survived that disaster, this position of mine would probably have been as long ago. Seeing my silence, Jiang Jinan mistook it for weakness and began putting on airs and spouting grand rhetoric. Team leader I won't bring up how you refused to teach me techniques and targeted me before. But you've created such a mess and think you can just walk away? How many project delays have occurred because of you? Do you really intend to keep your core technology hidden forever? Only then did I understand why the company endured public pressure without firing me despite my commission of leaking confidential information. They were eyeing my core technology. After all, the reason this company transformed from a bankrupt software firm to a key partner of internet giants was entirely due to my unique coding techniques. With the same hardware, my computing power costs half as much as others while achieving higher operational efficiency. Such technology could indeed be called the foundation I depend on for survival. Thinking this, I sneered coldly. If you want my technology, just say it outright. Jiang Jinan snorted pretentiously, pushing up his glasses with feigned composure. Who's as selfish as you? I don't need such vain reputation. Technology sharing and collective progress are what truly benefit the company's development. Whoever masters the technology doesn't matter, as long as it can serve the company. Catching up with the schedule and solving problems should be the top priority. His words sounded noble and righteous, wrapped in grand rhetoric. Shun Huaishi chimed in, looking at Jiang Jinan with admiration. Jinan's right. This is how you solve problems for real. Unlike some people who just spit venomous words and vent emotions. But I nearly burst out laughing. Who doesn't know we need to solve problems? What truly matters is who has the methodology and capability to solve them. The real reason he wants to publicly share my technology is simple. He can't learn it himself. I remember clearly, during Jiang Jinan's first month as an intern, his coding errors and constant bugs delayed the project timeline significantly. Yet Shun Huaishi not only kept him, but praised his never-say-die spirit for resembling my younger self. To this day, his coding skills remain inferior to those of college freshmen learning programming. So instead of letting him flounder, it's better to gift him this favor under his name to secure his position. If I don't hand over the technology, I'll become the public enemy of the entire project team. As expected, colleagues who were just pretending to be busy earlier put down their phones and urged me to surrender the core technology immediately. Come on, team leader We're all just ordinary workers trying to earn a living. No need to make things so difficult. Yeah, my family's counting on me to pay the mortgage and put food on the table. Don't drag us down and cost us our jobs. Watching their complaining faces, I stifled a cold laugh inwardly. Many of these people were either recommended by me to join the company or personally mentored by me. Small favors create gratitude, but large ones breed resentment. I taught them my skills hoping they'd seize opportunities, not out of obligation. Now that trouble has hit, they're dumping all the mess onto me. Seeing that no one would speak up for me, Jiang Jinan grew even more smug. See? Everyone's been grumbling about you for ages. And since you've been blacklisted industry-wide for leaking confidential information, only kind-hearted people like me and Huaishijia are willing to keep you around. If you still want a job, just hand over the technology obediently. Maybe the team can still help optimize it for you. Seeing my dark expression, Shun Huaishi walked over and shoved a phone into my hands, whispering persuasively. Enough, Lingyan. Your old phone was burned anyway. I bought you a new one. Stop dwelling on this. Think carefully. Company profits belong to all of us anyway. Who earns it doesn't matter. This way you'll have less pressure. After shifting to a behind-the-scenes role, you can even help care for my child at home. My face turned icy as I examined the new phone Shun Huaishi handed me. Though she'd applied a fresh screen protector and polished the exterior, she'd forgotten to reset it to factory settings. Even the personal hotspots still bore Jiang Jinan's name. Clearly, this was Jiang Jinan's second-hand device replaced just last week. As for the child, back when she was struggling, I'd already secured a $1 million annual salary at a tech giant through my expertise. To bind me for life, she defied her parents' objections, refused a dowry, and insisted on a whirlwind marriage to me, pleading relentlessly to have a child together. Later, to support her business venture, I abandoned my promising career and quit my job to work alongside her. When our company finally gained footing, she began making endless excuses, claiming the business wasn't stable enough, profits were insufficient, and future childcare expenses would be overwhelming, demanding I wait longer. But money can never be enough. It was just dangling a carrot in front of me. Disgusted, I outright rejected Shun Huaishi's kind gesture. No thanks. I don't use secondhand goods. I placed the phone back on the table while retrieving my backup device from my coat pocket. Seeing me publicly humiliate her, Shun Huaishi's face instantly darkened. Oh, look how cocky you are with your new foe. Quit if you want. Just don't come crawling back crying when you can't find another job. I smirked coldly, staring at the backup phone without uttering a word. She had no idea that the device in my hand wasn't just any new phone, but a backup device I'd been using all along. And once the recordings inside were exposed, both she and Jiang Jinan wouldn't just face sky-high compensations. They'd lose their freedom forever, living a life worse than death. With this thought, I turned and left the company, heading straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau to file for divorce. If we were ending this, we were going to make a clean break. But when my turn finally came at the service counter, the staff informed me that my divorce process had already been completed. I was stunned. When did I ever file for divorce? Please check again. Could you have entered the name wrong? The staff member looked exasperated. You were divorced by mutual agreement 5 years ago. It's been notarized, and the signatures match your handwriting. What's there to question? Honestly, young people these days have worse memory than us old folks. If you lost your divorce certificate, just pay the reissue fee over there. Don't hold up the line. As I stared at the date on the newly reissued divorce certificate, my thoughts suddenly drifted back 5 years. That was precisely when the company secured its first round of funding and began its rapid growth. I still remember how the whole company was celebrating that day. Yet Shun Huaishi remained restless and troubled, burying herself in paperwork alone in her office. I thought at the time she was nervous about managing the company, and even specially consoled her for hours. After swiftly helping her clear the files piled on the desk, we went on a date. Among those urgent documents waiting for my signature had likely been mixed a divorce agreement. Looking back now, what she truly feared wasn't company operations, but that I might claim a share after the business expanded. What's most ludicrous is that I spent these 5 years working myself to the bone for the company, all while naively envisioning a future of raising children together and growing old by her side once the business stabilized. What supreme irony! Since our marital ties had long been severed, I resolved to pack my belongings and move out swiftly for a clean break. But as I approached our home's entrance, thick cigarette smoke assaulted my nostrils, scratching at my throat. How could there be cigarette smoke in the house? Shun Huaishi loathed cigarettes more than anything. I still remember 2 winters ago when I got drunk while entertaining clients and fumblingly lit a cigarette at home. It was snowing thick snowflakes outside at -12°C, yet she pushed me, dressed only in pajamas and slippers, out the door without hesitation. She said for her sake and our future children's, I see. Would only crawl back inside after the smoke had completely dissipated. Later, I naively believed this, thinking Shun Huaishi truly cared about our future, so I simply quit smoking altogether. But now, how does this heavy cigarette smell fill the entire house? As I opened the door, I saw Jiang Jinan sprawled on the sofa, cigarette in hand, puffing away. Shun Huaishi, who always detested cigarette smoke, sat casually beside him. The pair were laughing and playing video games while watching the TV screen. The game interface's progress on the screen, these matching character outfits, clearly showed this wasn't their first time playing. Back when I wanted to play video games to relieve stress, she accused me of neglecting my duties and wasting time on idle pursuits. Now, she's completely engrossed in playing, not even noticing when I entered the room. Even her ever-present phone lies abandoned on the coffee table, its screen lit up with numerous missed calls and unread messages. She acted as if she didn't see me either, completely immersed in her world with Jiang Jinan, looking precisely like when we first fell in love during university. I stood at the doorway, observing this scene without uttering a word, then turned and went into the bedroom to pack my luggage. Only then did Shun Huaishi finally snap back to reality, frozen in place as she stared at my sudden appearance. Beside her, Jiang Jinan also turned his head, his expression darkening in an instant. TCH, ruined the fun. You showing up made me lose the game. What a jinx. You were so tough at the company during the day. I thought you were formidable. Turns out you still came crawling back to Huaishi in the end. What? Had a change of heart? Ready to hand over the technology now. Yet I couldn't be bothered to respond to him, grabbing my suitcase to start packing. Shun Huaishi finally snapped back to her senses, her tone tinged with displeasure. Lingyan, are you throwing a tantrum by running away from home? We've been an old married couple for years. Is this how little trust you have in me? Jingnan's rental toilet exploded and leaked. He came to stay with us in an unfamiliar city for the night. I was just keeping him company with games to stave off boredom. But my gaze fell on the bright red lipstick stain on Jiang Jingnan's shirt collar, the irony cutting deep. Since when did gaming involve leaving lipstick marks? Strangely, even such a flimsy excuse from Shun Huaishi's lips no longer stirred any emotions in me. I see. I replied flatly, continuing to stuff clothes into the suitcase. Seeing I meant business, Shun Huaishi finally panicked. What's gotten into you today? First resigning from your job, now this melodramatic exit. Have you lost your mind? If you don't explain clearly tonight and dare take half a step out that door, let's just end this. We're getting divorced. Ed. Her tone was harsh and threatening, yet the corners of her mouth couldn't hide her smile. After all, this had been her infallible, tried-and-true weapon over the years to force me into submission and apologies. But this time was different. I stopped packing, pulled out the divorce certificate I had just reissued this afternoon from my pocket, and flung it in front of her. Shun Huaishi, didn't you divorce me long ago? Shun Huaishi froze, the divorce certificate clutched in her hand. You knew about this? Lingyan, this was just a precaution. She tried to explain, but I couldn't even bother to glance at her, because I understood better than anyone why Shun Huaishi had done this. She was someone plagued by extreme insecurity. Perhaps it was because when they discovered the child was a girl, her own father immediately abandoned her. Perhaps, growing up as the burden of her mother's remarriage, she was kicked around like a liability by her biological parents. Shun Huaishi craved love intensely, yet maintained an indescribable distance and suspicion toward everyone, harboring deep fears about establishing intimate relationships. Until graduation from university, I remained her only friend and only lover. To accommodate her feelings, I had practically exposed myself in a vacuum over the years, abandoning all privacy to give her a sense of security. The absurd part was that her lack of security gradually contorted into a twisted desire for control. From the moment she secretly tricked me into signing the divorce agreement for the sake of security, our mutual trust had completely collapsed. Thinking of this, I pulled the wedding ring from my pocket. This ring I once treasured like a priceless jewel now resembled nothing but a cold stone in my eyes. I threw it to the ground and looked directly at Shun Huaishi. Congratulations, your insurance has come into effect. After speaking, I turned and left without the slightest hesitation. In the end, I chose a hotel to settle in temporarily. Strangely enough, before I even started job hunting, that very night a headhunter proactively contacted me. Not only did they not try to lower my price due to public Lao, but instead offered me 3 times the salary I had received at Shun Huaishi's company. The only requirement was that I bring my patent technical proofs to demonstrate my capabilities. Though I found it somewhat odd, the contract qualifications appeared completely legitimate. After careful consideration, I decided to go meet them tomorrow. The next day, I arrived at the restaurant at the appointed time, but I waited for a long time before seeing my contact. Before I could even speak, the person shoved a thick envelope into my hands. When I opened it, I found bright red cash inside. Before I could react, a group of reporters swarmed around me. In an instant, flashlights kept flashing, blinding my eyes. Only then did I realize I've been set up. Sure enough, Jiang Jinan and Shun Huaishi also appeared in the restaurant. Particularly Jiang Jinan, who put on a show of being heartbroken, pointed at me and said, "Master, you've truly disappointed me. How can you remain unrepentant to the bitter end? Leaking company secrets before was bad enough, but now you've stolen and sold off the core technology. How can you face the collective efforts of the entire company like this? How can you justify betraying Huaishi Jie's trust in you?" Seeing the hidden delight in Jiang Jinan's eyes, I quickly regained my composure. The presence of so many reporters clearly exceeded what a mere assistant like Jiang Jinan could mobilize. I turned to look at Shun Huaishi. "Do you think the same?" Shun Huaishi pursed her lips, then sighed with feigned resignation. "Lingen, you'd better hand over the technology now. Heaven sees all deeds. Even if you destroyed all evidence of the theft, you can't erase your crime. But considering your past contributions to the company, I may consider not pursuing criminal charges against you." Between the core technology and my innocence, she ultimately chose the former. Years of affection couldn't withstand the cold calculations of profit. To completely control me and force me to surrender the core technology, she had stooped to any means necessary. Surrounding journalists, like sharks catching the scent of blood, clamored for answers. "Mr. He, how do you respond to the company's allegations? Mr. He, is your theft of core technology related to your relationship with Ms. Shun? Reports claim you've divorced Ms. Shun to divide assets. Is this true?" Camera flashes erupted like wildfire, microphones nearly grazing my face. Jiang Jinan stood nearby, smirking triumphantly. He Lingen, caught red-handed. What explanation remains? Yet as I looked at them, I suddenly smiled. Yes, I admit it. My voice, though calm, carried clearly to every ear. Shun Huaishi froze, clearly unprepared for me to concede so easily. As she opened her mouth to speak, I pulled out the backup phone containing recordings of the entire truth from my pocket. Under the astonished gazes of everyone, I aimed the screen directly at the camera lens. But there's one thing you all probably got wrong. It wasn't me who tried to steal the technology, but Shun Huaishi and Jiang Jinan. And from the very beginning, the evidence was never destroyed. It was all synced to my backup phone. Now, it's time to reveal everything to the world. Backup phone. Shun Huaishi's expression stiffened instantly, as if doused head to toe with icy water, a chill piercing her entire body. Even her exquisite makeup couldn't mask the panic, leaving her gaping like a duck caught mid-squawk. Jiang Jinan was initially stunned for a moment, but quickly regained his composure and scoffed contemptuously. He Lingen, who are you trying to scare? He walked over to Shun Huaishi, gave her shoulder a gentle pat, and comforted her softly. Huaishi Jia, don't be afraid. He's just bluffing. Those petty tricks of his could never deceive me. Jiang Jinan turned his head and whispered contemptuously in my ear. You think I wouldn't anticipate your bluff? Let me tell you something. I've already had all the surveillance footage from the company that day erased, especially the stairwell cameras. That window was already in a surveillance blind spot to begin with. There's no way anything was recorded. What can you possibly do even if you have a backup device? What evidence could it contain? His entire demeanor radiated confidence, as if he held complete control of the situation. Hearing Jiang Jinan's words, Shun Huaishi seemed to swallow a tranquilizer pill, her complexion gradually returning to normal. She took a deep breath and straightened her posture again. Lingen, when will you stop this farce? Do you really think you can overturn the situation like this? This is pure delusion. All you're accomplishing is making an even greater fool of yourself. You're bringing humiliation upon your own head. Pointing at my nose, she looked like a primary school teacher scolding a naughty student. Now, hand over your backup phone immediately. Apologize to me, Jinan, and the company. We might still consider signing a letter of understanding. We won't hold you accountable and will give you a chance to reform. Her condescending demeanor struck me as utterly laughable. I stared at her coldly, enunciating each word slowly and deliberately. Dream on. Without another glance at them, I directly opened the audio file on the backup phone. I deliberately turned the volume to maximum, ensuring everyone present could hear every syllable clearly. Jinan, why did you push Lingen down? You swore you wouldn't take his life. Shun Huaishi's voice emerged from the speaker, laced with anxiety. Huaishi Jia, relax. Have I ever lied to you? Jiang Jinan's voice followed immediately, dripping with smugness. It's just 4 floors. At worst, multiple fractures, nothing life-threatening. But to be safe, you should go feed him some mute medication at the hospital later. Temporarily silence him. When everything is settled, we'll let him return to the company. I guarantee he'll be completely obedient and will never leave you. The recorded conversation between Shun Huaishi and Jiang Jinan played sentence by sentence, clearly reconstructing the entire process of their conspiracy against me. Their malicious plan and ugly true faces were fully exposed before everyone. The room fell into dead silence. Everyone froze, unable to believe what they were hearing. In the entire space, only the voices of Shun Huaishi and Jiang Jinan from the recording continued to reverberate. Shun Huaishi's face instantly turned as pale as paper. She lunged forward, trying to snatch my phone. Lingyan, turn that off right now. But I was prepared, easily dodging her attack. The phone continued playing the recording, exposing her and Jiang Jinan's crimes to the public. Failing to seize the phone, Shun Huaishi started making frantic denials. This is all fake. Fabricated. Do you think you can distort the truth with some random recording? You planned all of this. You deliberately lured us into saying those things, secretly recorded us, then maliciously edited and pieced it together like this. This is slander. A criminal act. If you can't produce other evidence, I'll hold you legally responsible. She pointed at me, her finger trembling violently. Seeing her hysterical state, I felt nothing but profound irony. Shun Huaishi, how can you still try to quibble at this point? If you weren't guilty, why would you try to snatch my phone? If you're truly blameless, why don't you dare let everyone finish listening to this recording? My words jolted the crowd back to their senses. Actually, the recording is quite smooth. It doesn't sound fake at all. And if it wasn't real, why would Shun Huaishi get so agitated? My God, this is too cruel. Conspiring with another man to push her own husband off a building and feeding him muting drugs. More and more accusatory voices surged towards Shun Huaishi and Jiang Jinan. Jiang Jinan also snapped back to his senses and immediately began to play the victim. He clutched his chest with an expression of anguished despair. Helianin, I've always regarded you as my most respected master. Never expected you'd treat me this way. He staggered a few steps as if about to faint. If I can't prove my innocence then, I won't live anymore. I'll kill myself right now. Let death testify to my integrity. As he spoke, he pretended to dash headfirst toward the wall. The surrounding reporters immediately rushed to stop him upon seeing this. After all, if someone really died, no one could escape responsibility. Mr. Jiang doesn't seem to be acting. Mr. Helian, can you take responsibility for your words? Indeed, Mr. Helian. If you have other evidence, show it now. Stop playing these mysterious games. Facing the crowd's doubts, I simply smiled calmly. Who says I don't have other evidence? The next moment, I slowly pulled out a black bank card from my suit's inner pocket. This is the irrefutable proof. I lifted the bank card and shook it before the crowd. This credit card was applied for 5 years ago when the company was just starting out. I gave Shun Huaishi the supplementary card and told her to use it freely. Huh, how ironic that it's now become the crucial key to bringing them down. Under the crowd's puzzled gazes, I pulled another stack of A4 papers from my other pocket, the transaction records of this credit card. What's this? Someone asked curiously. Evidence of Jiang Jin and accepting bribes. My voice turned icy, eyes sharp as blades, piercing straight at Jiang Jinan. Ironically, this evidence existed thanks to Shun Huaishi's excessive indulgence toward Jiang Jinan. Even meticulous as she was, love's intoxication eventually made this shrewd woman slip up. Over the past few months, Jiang Jinan had frequently privately sent me intimate photos of him and Shun Huaishi to provoke me, intentionally trying to infuriate me. By chance, I stumbled upon a discovery at Jiang Jinan's workstation. I caught a glimpse of this card I had given Shun Huaishi. At that moment, I found it strange. This card clearly belonged to me. How could it end up here? Later, when I covertly checked the transaction records, I discovered this card had actually been used for financial transactions with the company that leaked confidential information. I searched high and low without success, only for it to fall into my lap effortlessly. If Jiang Jinan were to discover that the evidence toppled him came from the very materials he personally sent me, I wonder if he'd collapse in fury on the spot. As I produced the bank statements and the bank card, Jiang Jinan's face instantly paled, his eyes brimming with panic. This is fabricated. Lingyan, this is slander. You're framing me. Yet despite Jiang Jinan's defiant insistence, the crowd's judgment remained clear-eyed and discerning. The reporters surrounding us began to murmur and discuss, their eyes shifting between Jiang Jinan and me. This transaction record looks authentic. Indeed, the dates and amounts are clearly listed. And if it were fake, why would Jiang Jinan react so strongly? It seems Lingyan was telling the truth. Jiang Jinan really did accept bribes. This Jiang Jinan, who would have thought? So young yet such a beast in human clothing. Amidst the surrounding whispers, Shun Huaishi also panicked. Pointing at the bank card in my hand, she shrieked sharply. This card belongs to Lingyan. It's his personal dealings. It has nothing to do with me or Jinan. I want to call the police. I'll let the officers investigate this thoroughly. As she spoke, she pulled out her phone to make the call. At that moment, police sirens grew louder approaching from a distance. Several officers entered and walked straight towards Jiang Jinan. Jiang Jinan seemed to see salvation. He rushed forward, his face contorted in a pitiful expression. Officers, I've been framed. This person falsely accused me of taking bribes. I'm just a fresh graduate wanting a stable job. What wrong have I done? He pointed at me, his face a moss. K of wrongful accusation and innocence. Watching this hypocritical act, disgust churned in my stomach. As the police drew closer, Jiang Jinan's smirk became increasingly difficult to conceal. He must have been secretly gloating inside, thinking the police had come to arrest me. Unfortunately for him, disappointment was inevitable. The next moment, the police stopped before Jiang Jinan, producing handcuffs as they coldly declared, "Jiang Jinan, you're suspected of intentional homicide. Come with us." Seeing the cuffs snapped around his wrists, Jiang Jinan froze in stunned disbelief. His eyes bulged like brass bells, mouth agape wide enough to fit an entire egg. This can't be," he murmured vacantly, face paler than parchment. Beside him, Shun Huaishi reacted even more hysterically. She lunged at the officers like a madwoman, clawing at a policeman's arm. "Officers, there must be some mistake. How could he possibly kill someone?" Her hysterical words tumbled out in shrill, grating tones, fingernails scraping a chalkboard. Watching her unraveling display, I chuckled coldly to myself. The wicked truly do reap what they sow. We received a report that Jiang Jinan is suspected of intentional homicide. He needs to cooperate with the investigation. The officer impatiently shook off Shun Huaishi's hand. Report. Shun Huaishi froze, turning to glare at me with eyes full of venom. "Lingyan, it's you? You were the one who called the police, weren't you?" I shrugged, looking innocent. "I didn't call them. I just provided evidence." The officer also clarified. "After receiving Mr. He's evidence, we reopened the case and expanded the investigation." Surveillance footage from the mall across the street captured Jiang Jinan pushing Mr. He off the 4th floor. At the time, there was a theft case in the mall. The Gubi investigative team discovered this scene while reviewing surveillance through Shang. The officer's words detonated like a bomb among the crowd. "My God, there really is surveillance footage. So Lingyan didn't commit suicide. Jiang Jinan pushed him. How horrific. Jiang Jinan is a monster." Jiang Jinan's legs gave out, collapsing to the floor. His face turned ashen, his gaze empty, like a walking corpse. The police clamped handcuffs on his wrists and escorted him away. Shun Huaishi collapsed to the floor, her spirit utterly broken. Watching her pitiful state, I felt not an ounce of compassion. She brought this upon herself. Reporters swarmed forward, capturing every moment of Jiang Jinan being taken into custody. That afternoon, news of the incident blanketed all headlines. Public opinion did an about-face. Countless netizens flooded the company's official account with scathing comments condemning Jiang Jinan and Shun Huaishi. "Wolf in sheep's clothing. How dare you kill F. or profit?" I actually felt sorry for Shun Huaishi before. Turns out she's this kind of person. Demand strict punishment for the murderers. Give He Lingyan justice. The company's account was swiftly reported and suspended. My lawyers are actively pursuing lawsuits against Jiang Jinan and Shun Huaishi. Watching all this unfold, I finally exhaled a long-held breath. Although the road was bumpy, justice has finally arrived. That evening, I returned home after dinner to find the lights on inside. Stepping through the doorway, I was greeted by the savory aroma of home-cooked food. Frozen in place, I followed the fragrance to the kitchen. Shun Huaishi was actually cooking. She stood by the stove wearing a pale pink apron, sleeves rolled up to her elbows. A pot bubbled with steam as she carefully stirred its contents with a spatula. I rubbed my eyes, making sure I wasn't dreaming. This was the same Shun Huaishi who used to keep her hands completely clean from household chores. Back then, she wouldn't even enter the kitchen, let alone cook. During our early marriage years, I handled all the cooking myself. Her role was to look as beautiful as a flower while waiting for me to bring steaming dishes to her. At that time, I still felt quite happy. Being able to cook for the woman I love was a joy. But later, ever since Jiang Jinan appeared, everything changed. Shun Huaishi started running to Jiang Jinan's house every other day, under the euphemistic pretext of discussing work. In reality, it was just freeloading meals. She'd regularly post on Moments, showcasing Jiang Jinan's love dinner creations. Looking at those exquisite dishes, waves of envy-induced bitterness welled up in my heart. As for myself, busy until late every night, returning home to cold pots and a cold stove, not even a hot meal to eat. So, I started ordering takeout, grabbing whatever was quick and convenient. Anyway, it's not like anyone cares what I eat. This was the first time all year that I smelled the aroma of home-cooked food in my own apartment. And it was actually made by Shun Huaishi herself. Now that's a miracle. Hearing the noise, she turned her head toward me, her face softening into a gentle smile. "Lingyan, you're back? Dinner's almost ready." Her tone and demeanor made it seem like we were still a loving couple, as if everything that had happened before was just a nightmare. I sneered and walked over. "Shun Huaishi, what kind of act are you putting on here?" Her hands froze mid-action, her smile solidifying on her face. Lingyan, I know you're still angry with me. She set down the spatula and came to stand before me, head bowed in a pitifully fragile demeanor. But Jingnan, he really didn't mean it. He just acted impulsively, driven by desperation. When she raised her head, her eyes turned teary. Her voice choked with emotion. For the sake of our marriage, please forgive him this once. If you sign the letter of understanding, he won't have to face criminal charges. Her words struck me as utterly absurd. Shen Huaishi, have you lost your mind? I shoved her aside and slumped onto the sofa. Jiang Jinan almost killed me. And you still want me to forgive him? When you forced that dumb medicine down my throat, did you ever consider I was your husband? What right do you have to stand here and negotiate terms with me now? My voice kept rising with each word, anger fueling my speech. Shen Huaishi stood there stammering, her teeth sinking into her lower lip with tears welling up in her eyes. Lingyan, I know, I've done many things to hurt you. But Jingnan truly didn't mean any harm. He was just terrified of losing his job, acting out of desperation. She drew a deep breath as if cementing her resolve. Name your price for forgiveness. I'll give you anything. A promotion with raise, company shares. Even if you want me to quit my job, stay home, and bear your children. All of it. Her gaze locked onto mine, brimming with desperate hope, as if she'd throw herself into my arms the moment I nodded. Watching her grovel like this for Jiang Jingnan's sake turned my stomach. Shen Huaishi, who once held herself high and ordered me around, has actually come to this day. For a man, she would stoop so low as to abandon all dignity and plead with me in such a humble manner. How pathetic, how laughable. I stood up and began packing my belongings. Shen Huaishi, save your breath. Your promises are utterly worthless to me. What existed between us ended long ago. Right now, I just want to get away from you, away from this disgusting place. I grabbed my suitcase and walked toward the door without looking back. Shen Huaishi panicked. She rushed over and yanked my arm. Lingyan, where are you going? Go anywhere you want. Just don't leave me. I shook off her hand and stared coldly at her. Where I go is none of your business. You have no right to interfere. She froze for a moment, then abruptly pulled a sheet of paper from her bag and thrust it in front of me. Lingyan, look at this. Do you not even care about the child anymore? My footsteps halted abruptly, as if nailed to the floor. Shen Huaishi's face flashed with a hint of delirious joy, as if she had grasped a lifeline. Lingyan, listen to me. She quickly stepped in front of me, her voice trembling. I've been feeling unwell these past few days, nauseous and vomiting. When I went to the hospital for a checkup, I'm pregnant. She cautiously handed the prenatal test report to me, as if afraid I wouldn't believe it. Lingyan, look, it's true. We have a child. She raised her head, tears glistening in her eyes, filled with anticipation. Even if just for the sake of the child, could you give me another chance? To give our child a complete family. Please. She tightly gripped my arm, as if terrified I might run away. I looked at Shen Huaishi, my eyes complex beyond words. To be honest, I really do love children. Before, I used to dream about having our own child with Shen Huaishi. A cute little angel, as beautiful as her, or as clever as me. I would tell him stories, play with him, and teach him the principles of being a good person. I would give him all my love and become a good father. At that time, I believed our family wouldn't feel complete until we had a child. But now, looking at Shen Huaishi's face filled with calculation, I felt nothing but a deep sorrow in my heart. My love for her had long since withered away. If this child were truly born, wouldn't that be the greatest harm done to it? Seeing my gloomy expression and silence, Shen Huaishi thought I was wavering, that I'd taken the bait. She immediately pressed the advantage, continuing to paint her rosy illusion. Lingyan, if you sign the letter of understanding, I'll sever all ties with Jiang Jinan completely. I swear I'll never see him again. She vowed earnestly, as if ready to swear by the heavens. I'll hand over the entire company to you. Do whatever you want with it. I'll just stay home, focus on the pregnancy, and give birth to your child. Okay. She gazed at me with hopeful eyes gleaming brightly. Yet that glimmer in her eyes stabbed at my heart. The Shen Huaishi from before had been so kind, so pure. When she first entered the workforce, she couldn't even bear to create exaggerated advertisements. Feeling like she was scamming people, secretly wiping tears in corners. Back then, her eyes sparkled with hopes for the future and love for this world. But now, in just 5 short years, she transformed into a woman who could coldly use her unborn child as a bargaining chip. Seeing I remained silent, Shen Huaishi grew anxious, thrusting the crumpled settlement agreement toward me. You have to sign this, Lingyan. Just sign and it'll all be over. She urged, desperation filling her gaze. I stared at the document, finding only bitter amusement. Snatching the agreement, I ripped it to shreds before her eyes. Shen Huaishi, let me make this clear. Stop your delusions. Jiang Jinan is finished. Shun Huaishi widened her eyes, her face filled with disbelief. Forget it. Jinan was right. He always knew you'd never help. She suddenly calmed down, a thread of smugness coloring her tone. Good thing he prepared a second plan long ago. As long as the compensation's sufficient and the money reaches him, he just needs to pull some strings with his connections. Then everything will be fine, she scoffed, declaring. I've already sold the company. All the funds have been transferred directly to his personal account. My heart sank as I listened to her words. Something's wrong. If this was really about connections, why transfer money so blatantly to a personal account? Before I could speak, urgent knocking suddenly erupted at the door. Bang, bang, bang. Open up. Police. A triumphant smile bloomed across Shun Huaishi's face. See? What did I tell you? She gazed at me smugly, as if flaunting her victory. The money just transferred, and they're already here. They must be here to release Jinan. She hurried to the door and pulled it open forcefully. Several uniformed police officers stood outside, their expressions stern. You're here too. Shun Huaishi's words were cut off by the police before she could finish. Miss Shun Huaishi, correct? Jiang Jinan is wanted nationwide for suspected assault on a police officer and escaping custody. Do you have any leads on his whereabouts? Impossible. Shun Huaishi mumbled to herself, her eyes vacant. I immediately realized that bastard Jiang Jinan had absconded with the money. I quickly interjected. Shun Huaishi just transferred a large sum to Jiang Jinan. It's likely the escape funds for him. I told the police everything I knew about Jiang Jinan's possible methods of manipulating company accounts and transferring funds, pouring out all my speculations. The police immediately contacted headquarters via walkie-talkie, requesting assistance in investigating the fund flow. A burst of static came through the walkie-talkie, followed by a clear voice. Report. We verified Jiang Jinan and his accomplices have fled to a coastal city. When Shun Huaishi heard this, she completely panicked. She snatched her phone and frantically dialed Jiang Jinan's number. Refusing to give up, she kept dialing over and over. On the 10th attempt, the call finally connected. Joy instantly flooded Shun Huaishi's face as if she'd grasped a lifeline. Jinan. Where are you? The police are looking for you. Her voice trembled with suppressed sobs. An annoyed voice came through the receiver. Old woman. Are you fucking stupid? I was short on cash, just making up an excuse to get some money. Who knew you'd actually fall for it? Jiang Jinan's tone dripped with disdain. You lied to me? Her shaking voice grew more violent. Lie? I was just playing with you. Did you really think I'd fancy you, this aged relic? You. Shun Huaishi choked with rage, unable to form coherent words. Enough, stop fucking bothering me. I gotta focus on getting the hell out of here. After saying that, Jiang Jinan hung up the phone directly. She slumped to the ground completely, her eyes vacant as if she'd lost her soul. Oh. After a long while, Shun Huaishi suddenly raised her head and crawled toward me, clutching my pant leg desperately. I was wrong. Lingyan, I beg you to forgive me. Her voice was hoarse and choked with sobs. Lingyan, I'll never dare again. I'll renew our marriage certificate with you right now, hand over the entire company to you, okay? She kept kowtowing relentlessly. Her forehead quickly broke open, blood streaming down her cheeks. I looked at her, not a single ripple in my heart. The Shun Huaishi from before had been so kind, so pure. But now, she was just a pitiful wretch who'd lost everything in the end. Let go, I said coldly. Lingyan, please. Shun Huaishi's weeping intensified. Without the slightest hesitation, I shook off her hand and turned to leave. Later, I heard Jiang Jinan was apprehended by police while attempting to board a departing ship. Given the especially large amount involved in the case, it said he received a life imprisonment sentence. As for Shun Huaishi, due to her crimes of drugging me, spreading rumors, and abuse of authority, with multiple offenses combined, she was sentenced to 3 years. Her company ultimately went bankrupt and closed down due to various reasons. Regarding the money defrauded by Jiang Jinan, I retrieved the portion that belonged to me from the police. The remainder was entirely donated to charity. Because of this incident, I gained significant fame. Combined with possessing core technical expertise, I was directly recruited by a major tech company as a director, managing a team of over 100 people. Although days are still hectic and busy, but at least, right now, I finally truly own a life that belongs to myself.